I am Shaker Marisa.
And I am Jose II Rosas from BS Nursing 1A.
So the case study that we are going to be discussed today is about abortion. To start, we are going to answer the question, what is abortion? So in the scientific definition of abortion, according to a variety of sources, it is the ending of pregnancy by removing the embryo before it can survive outside the uterus of a mother, and it is before it develops outside the world. Then, according to medicine, it is the safest procedure that is being done. Then, there are different ways of doing abortion, either medicine or using technology or different techniques. Then, in our world nowadays, abortion has been one of the biggest controversies of all time. Many people believe that it is 100% wrong and even considered to be a sin and a murder. Abortion is the termination of pregnancy by the removal of expulsion from the uterus of a fetus or prior to being capable of normal growth. So it is done by the people or the mother who are engaged to these situations. So let's answer the question, why do women engage this kind of technique or engage in this kind of doings? Or basically, why do women get abortion? So there are different reasons behind this abortion. First, women of all ages, nationalities, ethnicity, religion, marital statuses, and occupation can experience this situation. First is not financially prepared. Sometimes teens, especially mga young girls, they are not engaged in the sex education. So kapag nangyayari yun, they are not financially prepared, diba? Kasi hindi talaga yun pinaghandaan. Diba? Then, second is, it's not yet the right time for them to have a baby. Since it's not planned, naiisip nila na it's not yet the right time kasi either it's too young for them, diba? Kaya mas tinatawag tayong teen pregnancy kasi at a very young age na engaged na sila dun sa gawain na yun na nagbubunga to pregnancy. So in that situation, they are not ready to have a baby yet. Kaya probably yun yung isang reason kaya nag-engage na sila sa abortion. Then third is partner-related reason. Ikaw, may naging girlfriend ka na ba? Diba minsan sa isang relationship, hindi naman nag-compromise ang dalawa. For example, nagka-baby sila, then ang reason ng isa is that yung partner, diba? Like, yung father ng baby, hindi naman fully nagbibigay ng take responsibility dun sa nangyari. Kaya ang ending, it's either matik na sila ng abortion.
Also, one factor why women abort their babies is the future opportunities.
Yes.
Their opportunities, like their future, is preempt by the situation.
Yes.
So that in response, the woman has no choice to abort this child, unborn child.
Yes, or reborn babies. Feeling nila factor yun para mag-interfere sa future opportunities nila. Kasi kapag, di ba, sa relationship, ang mag-carry ng baby is yung mother, yung babae. So, siguro, hindi sila emotionally and mentally prepared na, for example, goal mo pa mag-take ng school or schooling, pero feeling mo dahil sa baby, dahil mag ka, issue. So, ang tendency mapa-abort, di ba? Then also, health-related problems. Then, probably this is the major reason para sa akin kung bakit siguro rampant ng women nag-take ng abortion. They want a better life for the baby than she can provide right now since they are not prepared mentally, emotionally, financially right now. Feeling nila they cannot sustain yet the baby.
Woman doesn't get prepared for the obligation.
For the obligation. Feeling niya, hindi pa ito yung right time para doon. Diba? Then, minsan din may mga babae na not independent at mature enough, di ba? Like yung iba, under pa sila sa roof ng parents nila. So, financially, saan sila kukuha? Siyempre sa parents ng ulit nila, di ba? Then also, influences of family and friends.
One of the factor is the culture, influence, status ng family. Because these factors they work together to influence the belief of the woman about bearing a child, about abortion. It is very very factor
such factor talaga yan. Kasi minsan man sa babae, di ba, ang different din yung mga belief ng parent. Like, for them, babae ka. Kasi may mga standards sila bagat and tig-obey nila yun. May mga rules na for them, dahil muna. Pero isipin mo, may ibang mga families na tanggap din, di ba? Tanggap pa rin yung anak nila of having babies. Kaya anong continue sila. Siguro natitrigger din yung pregnant woman or yung teen. Kaya nag-abort sila. It's because sometimes peer pressure, di ba? Siguro nagawa nila yon through peer pressure. And ngayon, peer pressure din na huwag mo na ituloy kasi ganito, ganyan. Kaya siguro isang factor yun. Kaya mas choose nila to abort.
Abortion is arbitrary.
Yes.
Dahil, cultural. Since it is culture, it is difficult to break that culture because it is a product of time. It is their practice. So culture is very big factor na contribute sa abortion.
We have this term, abortion movement. So what does it mean kapag sinasabi ang abortion movement? So abortion movements is also referred to a pro-life and pro-choice movement. It involves in the abortion debate, the advocating abortion and advocating against the practice of abortion and its legality. So when we say pro-choice, it is favoring the legalization of abortion, and pro-life, it describes to the opposed to abortion. So in this abortion movement, it began as counter movements in response to the legalization of abortion. One side seems occupied with the women's rights, while the other is associated with saving the babies. But in reality, both pro-life and pro-choice motives and objectives are quite complex and diverse. So with that, both terms are often overly simplified, leaving the one party believing harsh misconception about the other. So let's start with the definition of pro-choice. So what is pro-choice? So according to the Planned Parenthood, it is a strong pro-choice organization. These terms are defined much differently. So generally, people that agree on this pro-choice movement are people who identify as pro-choice, believes that everyone has the basic human right to decide whenever choice it is to have a baby or children. When you say that you are a pro-choice, you're telling people that you believe it's okay for them to have ability to choose abortion or to have an option for unplanned pregnancies, even if you wouldn't choose yourself. So basically for them, every woman should be involved with the right to her life and body. For them siguro, the woman's body is their right, and the woman's body is encompasses their right and their choice. So for them, pro-choice is synonymous with the pro-murder. Being pro-choice is often as a result of having extreme compassion on women in difficult situation. So for them, it is the easiest way or an escape to this situation. So the counterpart of pro-choice is pro-life. So I am passionately pro-life person. So pro-life is synonymous with the anti-abortion, or the people who disagree and not agree to the legalization of abortion. So pro-life movement has grown into the thriving community of those who meet political issues with the mindset that all human life is valuable, whether it is preborn, newborn, or elderly, or some people with disability and special needs. At this core, it is about the value and equality of human beings. So for them, life of a human being, whatever he is or it is, newborn, preborn, everything has its right to live. So they want to voice out that it is not right to legalize abortion in whatever circumstances it is.
Okay, we have to consider the pro-choice argument. One of the argument of the pro-choice, it is the woman's right. They assert that it is their body, so they have a right to the unborn child. They have a right to carry it or abort it. So that is the main argument. It is a woman's right issue. So I have one question. To describe it as a woman's right in abortion, to describe it as a woman's right, it makes sense to you?
For me, it doesn't make sense. For me, it's not just the right of the mother or the woman alone. We should not disregard the right of the baby inside the mother's uterus. Kasi I believe, when you are pregnant, pro-choice siguro sinasabi nila, it's just a clump of cells. So it has not yet been born, so wala pang sense, wala pang right. But isipin natin, in science, those lump of cell is the basic unit of life. And for me, yes, it is the right, or it is the woman's right, it is her body, it is her choice, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense because the right over a woman's body is not equivalent to killing the baby inside her. Okay? Parang it does not include the right to kill the baby. Yes, it is your right, it is your body, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't include the right to kill the baby or to abort the baby.
Okay, I agree to your opinion. Because there is two entities. One is the mother and one is the child. Mother and unborn child is separate entity. So the assertion of the pro-choice that it is the right. So it focuses only to them. It deprives the right of the unborn child in that argument. So seeing that they are separate entities, both of them have a right. The right of the woman and the right of the unborn child. So it doesn't make sense to even call it as a woman's right. How about the right of that child, the right of that unborn child? Doesn't make sense to even call it as a woman's right because that child also has a right. So that is the dilemma in this issue. Both of them have a right. So both of them is under the equal protection clause. Both are inside of that law to be treated as equal person, as an equal person. That is a dilemma here. The ethical framework that we choose in this topic is the John Locke's ethical framework. Because we believe that John Locke's ethical framework is the best suited ethical framework in this topic, which is the abortion. Who is John Locke?
So before we start John Locke's ethical framework, let me just give you a brief background of John Locke. So John Locke is an English philosopher and a political theorist who was born in 1632 in Ringthorne, Somerset, England, and died in 1704 in High Liver, Essex. So he is a founder of British empiricism and the author of the first systematic exposition and defense of political liberalism. So he defended the claim that men are nature free and has equal against claim that God had made all people naturally subject to a monarch.
On the face of it, Locke is a powerful ally to the libertarian. First, he believes that libertarians today maintain that there are certain fundamental rights that are so important that no government, even a representative government, even a democratically elected government, can override them. Not only that he believes that those fundamental rights include a natural rights to life, liberty, and property. Furthermore, he argues that the right to life is not just creation of the government or of law. The right to life is a natural right in the sense that it is pre-political. It is the right that attaches to the individuals as human beings even before the government comes into the scene. Parliaments and legislators enact laws to enforce them. We are equal in state of nature, and yet he makes the point that there is a difference between a state of liberty and a state of license, and the reason is even. In the state of nature, there are kind of law. It is law of nature, and this law of nature constrains what we can do even though we are free. In the state of nature, there are kind of law. It is law of nature, and this law of nature constrains what we can do even though we are free. So what is that constraints? The only constraints given by the law of nature is that the rights we have, the natural rights that we have, is something that we can give up, nor we can take them for somebody else. Under the law of nature, it's not free to take from somebody else's life, liberty or property, nor I am free to take my own life. Although I am free, I am not free to violate the law of nature. So where's that right come from? Where's the natural right came from? Well, Locke tells us where it came from, and he gives two answers. Here is the first answer. Locke said, "For men, being all the workmanship of one omnipotent and infinitely wise maker, they are his property, whose workmanship they are, made to last during his, not one another's pleasure." So John Locke believes that we are God's property. We are the creatures of God. So God has a bigger property right in us, a prior property right. how you might say that's an unsatisfying, convincing answer. So, in simple word, John Locke is against abortion. Because John Locke is a very religious man. He is a Protestant. He believes in the law of God, the Ten Commandments, and the law of nature. He discovers the law of nature during his study in Oxford. So, we are the creatures of God. So God has a bigger property right in us, a prior property right. How you might say that's an unsatisfying, unconvincing answer, at least for those who don't believe in God. What did Locke have to say to them? Now here's what Locke appeals to the idea of reason. The state of nature has law of nature to govern it, which obligates everyone, and the reason, which is the law, teaches all mankind who will but consult it, that being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. To sum it all up, natural right. Natural right is a state of perfect freedom to order their actions and dispose of their possessions and reasons as they think fit. Even in the state of perfect freedom, individuals are guided by law. The law of nature is reason. Locke writes that reason is the source of our rights because reason informs us that being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. That's why we have a natural right to be secure in our life, liberty, and property. Because it isn't reasonable for everyone to deprive those things. Let's focus on the right to life because it has an implication to abortion. So Locke argues that in the state of nature, each individual retains the right to execute the law or any violation of natural rights, of course to punish the thief, to kill the intruder. This same individual, having executed the law as reason, direct as an individual right to act as their own judge, where any wrong is committed on her part, so long as the judgment is guided by reason, so no greater harm might be done. In this issue, the unborn child is protected by reason. Reason, where anyone attempts by force to deprive the life of the unborn child, to deprive the right to life of the unborn child, the unborn child is protected by reason. So anyone attempts by force to deprive the right of the unborn child is unreasonable. It is no longer protected by reason. Unborn child, according to Locke, John Locke, is protected by reason for those who didn't believe in God. One argument is reason. That child is protected by reason, the right of the child to life. If anyone attempts by force to deprive the life of the unborn child, that is no longer reasonable. That is unreasonable. That attempt takes one's our life. That attempt takes one out of the state of nature. That attempts to take the life of the unborn child in the child's state of nature is a state of war, a state of force over reason. Because the child is no longer in his or her state of nature. The child is in the state of war, force, coercion over reason. That is Locke's argument. Clearly, John Locke strongly disagrees with the concept or idea of abortion because he argues that we all men are God's creation.
And for those who don't believe in God, he argues that our natural rights is protected by the law of nature, which is the reason, because depriving one's life is unreasonable. So Locke's argument is about God and reason.
So claiming it as a woman's right alone is unreasonable because the unborn child have the rights too. Thus, our right is limited by the rights of others. Then, if our rights interfere the rights of others, then it should no longer be a right.
Person is something that has a certain set of moral or legal rights, most important of which is a right against a viability or ability to survive or live successfully. For John Locke, man, he endowed each of us with certain rights. Among these rights include life, liberty, and property, known as natural rights. So that we are naturally given as long as we exist. You'll get these rights and they should never be denied to anybody. They should never be taken away by anybody, therefore it should be kept kept. So the right to life and live whatever life you want, as long as it doesn't infringe on the right to the life of others. So like you can do anything, like do this, do that, and anything in between, just as long as you don't take any life away from anybody else. So for John Locke, we are all God's creation. So he takes an opposing view about the abortion or taking away of life, because for him, it is taking somebody's life. It bears away a precious and beyond price viability for an innocent child. So killing is not right and not reasonable doing.
Fun fact, did you know that abortion is illegal in the Philippines? It is because the Constitution prohibited the act of depriving life. In Article 3, Section 1 of our Bill of Rights said, no person shall deprive of life, and this includes the unborn child, and the fetus is protected by equal protection of law, and it is consistent in our revised penal code. The act is criminalized by the Philippine law, Article 256, 258, and 259 of the revised penal code of the Philippines, mandate imprisonment for women who undergo abortion as well as for any person who assists in the procedure. A message from Captain Jose: if you kill me, that would be deeply wrong. What makes it wrong? If you kill me, you rob me of my future. And I have a valuable future, studying to become a licensed nurse, medical doctor, senator, and of course, I want to be a dad someday with a dozens of sons and daughters. These are deeply meaningful things, and if you take my life, you take that valuable future from me. That's what makes it wrong. What is killing me wrong? At least according to John Locke, it might not be only thing wrong about killing me, but stripping me of a valuable future is enough, and all on its own, to make killing me as a serious wrong. Locke will argue that abortion robs the fetus of a valuable future. So if killing me is deeply wrong, then so is killing fetus. In this argument, the unborn child is protected by reason. Reason because killing the fetus is unreasonable. Reason because fetus have a future like ours, and that makes abortion wrong. Fun fact, did you know that the constitution of almost all democratic countries in the world is inspired by John Locke's principle of natural right, which is the right to life, liberty, and property. It includes the countries like United States, Israel, and even the Philippines. Let's look at the Article 3, Section 1 of the 1987 Constitution of the Philippines, which states that no person shall deprive of life, liberty, and property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of laws.